been a lot of talk around Fantastic Four, and I just thought, why not add my take on it, I guess. I was really kind of annoyed by how critics just destroyed that film before it even came out. I kind of want people to like see films before, and make their own mind up rather than not be able to actually see the film, because the way the critics receive this movie means that a lot of people are just not gonna bother and go and see it. That film didn't really get a chance to like do anything. So that only made me want to go see it more. I was just like, well, I have to see it now. Like, if everyone hates it, says it's terrible, and some people even said the worst comic book movie ever, and it's just like, on Twitter I just posted a picture of Catwoman. I was just like, excuse me, I doubt that. And I was right. I mean, it's nowhere near the worst comic book movie ever. Having said that, it's not very good. So the critics are not entirely wrong to pan this film. I'm glad I saw it, and like now I know what it's like. But basically, there's a little more to it than just, oh, the film's terrible, don't go watch it. I felt like the first half hour of the film was pretty good. The characters, I mean, they went back a bit too far, where it's just like you see Reed Richards like working as a kid, like trying to invent something, and it's kind of like, it was like watching Tomorrowland or something for a minute there. Those sequences were done pretty well. I don't know why they had to hire Homer Simpson and Tim Heidecker to be actors in this film, but they did well. Yeah, so you see him like make this invention, blah blah blah, and then he meets the scientist guy who's the adopted, well, he's the father of Sue Storm, but she was adopted, and that's how the characters meet, blah blah blah. And the guy, I forget his name, sorry, who plays Reed Richards, he's the guy from Whiplash. He's really good. Okay, it feels like he stops trying about in the last half hour, just refuses to act anymore. But up until that point, he was really good. I thought he was, he was definitely like the strongest of the actors. Yeah, I really thought, the film introduces characters well. Now, one of the big problems of the film though is the pacing, I feel, and the structure of it. Because after that half hour, which was pretty good, you really needed like something. You needed an action scene. You needed all the characters to come together within that first half hour, because it's just like, it takes an hour and 10 minutes for like the story to like kick in. And it's just like, the film's an hour and a half. Like, what the fuck? This is too long. I don't know why they were so worried that people wouldn't understand like who these guys are and like what their powers are. There's been 2 movies already with them. It's like, plus the Roger Corman one and the comic books. I mean, I'm sure there's like, everyone knows. There's even been The Incredibles, which essentially had the same powers. Come on, there's no need to spend so long on the exposition. And that really kills this movie, because by the time you get to the action, you just don't give a shit. It's like really boring, and it shouldn't be, because I mean, it's pretty cool when they actually like transport to the other dimension, and then it's kind of like it goes wrong, etc. I was still interested then. But then it's like another half an hour of exposition follows that, and it's just like, because then you need to introduce like Doctor Doom as like a villain. I don't know what we were doing for so long. I mean, it's just like, it just feels like so much should have been cut out. So much more of other stuff should have been added in. It's like having 2 jigsaw puzzles and they're all like mixed together, but like half of the pieces are missing. It's kind of annoying. Now the rest of the cast I didn't think was very good at all. The guy who plays Johnny Storm, he's fine. It's just the script is so dull. It just doesn't give him anything to do. I mean, Chris Evans, say what you will about the first film, which I feel, I rewatched it recently, it's not that bad. It's fine. Chris Evans was good in that movie. Like, he was funny, he was charismatic, and he played his character well. He was kind of a douche as well. So it was kind of like a good mix of things, and he did all those things well. Even like, how the characters in the first Fantastic Four kind of discovered their powers little by little in kind of odd situations. That was way better than what they did here, because when they come back from the other dimension, they're kind of just training their powers. So it's just like, you've cut out all the fun of discovering these powers, and they're just, the thing is literally just sitting in a room for a while, and then in the dark, he's just kind of like, he's fine with it. And then they send him off to war as a soldier. I'm just like, has he agreed to this? Like, I just didn't understand what they were doing with that character at all. Like, The Thing. I was gonna say The Thing is probably the worst thing about this film. Worst thing. Victor Von Doom is pretty terrible as well. I think he might just win it. The contest of the worst character in this film. Victor Von Doom, you first meet him and he's like this guy with long hair and like a beard. He's like this hippie emo dude, like sitting in the dark. He's kind of just a scientist guy, but he's not threatening at all. He just seems like a guy you see at a concert that you could kind of take on. So he's really not intimidating, ever. Like the guy from first Fantastic Four, they didn't do the best job with him, but at least he's like a powerful man. He's the guy from Nip Tuck, so he's pretty creepy. The Von Doom from the original film, he literally laser beams a hole through a guy. This guy, not really. He kind of just stays in the other dimension, which means you don't see him for 3/4 of the film. That really helps introduce the villain. No, he kind of show up. Like the sequence where he like wakes up is okay, but he looks like shit. He just looks like shit. It's like they've made it so that like presumably the suit, like the spacesuit that he was wearing, just kind of melted on him, and it's like, yeah, but the suit didn't look like that. Like, it's just, what are you talking about? There's a lot of things in this movie where you're just like, what are you talking about? And there's like a whole sequence where Reed Richards kind of walks away, like he leaves and then he comes back later, and it was completely pointless. So that's like 10 minutes right there. There's like a fight scene, but it doesn't look very good. They introduced the idea that he can change his face, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. It seems like a cheat, but maybe it happens in the comics. I don't know. I'm not like a die-hard Fantastic Four fan. So characters, I mean, Sue Storm is just a non-event. She literally just might as well have not been there. Don't get me wrong, she's probably better than Jessica Alba, because I really hate Jessica Alba in those movies. I don't know, she was just so bland. I might have actually welcomed a Jessica Alba instead, because I could have just been like, oh, she's terrible. You know, that would have been something to just kind of, because this actress is quite good. Like, she's in House of Cards, I think. I've seen her be good, and I just think it reminded me of Amy Adams in Man of Steel, where like Amy Adams is amazing in everything, and then in this one film she's just boring as hell. So I don't think it's her fault. I mean, it's just the script. There's no characterization there. It's just kind of like, oh, she listens to music. That's her thing. She listens to music. Everyone listens to music. Am I crazy? Like, there's one scene in this as well that made me laugh, where the three dudes are like getting drunk and bonding over like literally just this much alcohol, like a little flask of alcohol, which in no way could have made one person drunk, let alone three. Kind of weird. It's like you're watching like a really bad acting class with people trying to act drunk without any alcohol. So it's kind of like they're not doing very well. The plot kicks in like half an hour before the end, and it makes literally no sense whatsoever. It's like Dr. Doom comes back from the other dimension, but he's pissed because they want him to stay and they can fix him somehow. He kills a bunch of people, or at least tries to kill a bunch of people, and kills a bunch of people. He goes back to the other dimension because he wants to rule the other dimension as like some kind of supervillain. But it's like, as far as I know, there's nothing in the other dimension. Then he goes to the other dimension, and then his plan changes all of a sudden. So he wants to like use our dimension, destroy it in his dimension, because why? I don't know. I don't know. This is like a really stupid way in which they can go from one dimension to the next. It's just literally just like, they might as well just dissolved to the other place. But no, like she travels, Sue Storm travels everyone by bubble. It doesn't look silly at all. To the other dimension, there's a fight. Fantastic Four wins, just like in the original film. Great. Except in the original film, at least they were using like basic science to just, you know, what happens to, you know, solid metal if it's frozen, you know, like stupid stuff like that. But at least, you know, it was something. Here it's just like, I don't know what the hell happens at the end. It's just kind of a shambolic mess. And then at the end they have this really corny scene. I just, I don't know what we're gonna call ourselves. The perfect four, or like, and then they come up with stupid names, and it's just like, I can't believe we're doing this. And they're like really setting themselves up for a sequel. But it feels like the cast really don't want to be in a sequel, from like what I've heard of the making of the film and how they look in the film itself. They seem miserable, to be honest. Like, Fantastic Four should be having fun and it should be entertaining. The powers are so wacky, they should be impressive. They should be like, oh, here it comes. Like when in the original film, simple things where like Mr. Fantastic puts his hand under the door and just slides under and opens the door like that. Okay, the effects weren't amazing, but like it was kind of cool to see that, because that's something that character would do. And it was pretty wacky, but it worked. Yeah, this film, its main problems is it's dull. I'm afraid it's dull. The script is bland. It makes no sense. It's completely uneven in terms of pace and like plotting. It's yeah, I mean it's a big mess, and I understand why critics didn't like it. Every film should get a chance to like be released and be seen by people. This one's no exception. Hey, at least you get, you know, half an hour's worth of like decent comic book origin storytelling, even though we've already kind of seen that with these characters. But that's what I liked about the original Fantastic Four, is that they didn't really bother with that. It's just like when you first meet them, it's like they're going for like an interview with Von Doom. So already right there, you've got four characters in like 2 scenes. They all meet, and it's like it's been 5 minutes, you know? And then you can get to the bit where they go to space, and then you can get to the bit where they find out about their powers, and then you can get to the bit where they fight against each other. Loads of things happened in that first movie. It's better. Like the first Fantastic Four is way better. Just rewatch that. I think you'll find it's more fun than you remember. Yeah, you're gonna want to give this one a miss though. Go see it for yourself. But don't go see it, if that makes any sense. See you guys later.